Hello, today we're going to read on Infowars, my favorite news site, and the article is Swedish government orders clinic to end treatment for rape victims in favor of treating migrants. Oh, the irony. The Swedish government has announced that a clinic in Stockholm will no longer treat female rape victims, and the money will be spent on treating traumatized Muslim migrants instead. After 10 years of helping rape victims, the Stockholm Crisis and Trauma Center will now only devote itself to patients with war and torture trauma, reports SVT. That's Sweden's main television channel. Authorities in Stockholm claim their agreement with the clinic does not cover rape victims, and the focus will now be moved to treating migrants with psychological problems or associated torture or severe trauma from war. Despite the fact that the majority of migrants pouring into Sweden are not arriving from war-torn countries. According to Marla Hägerstrand, unit manager for psychiatry in Stockholm County Council, this is a group that is now expanding with the major migrant flows that exist, and we want them to be able to help even more in that group in the future. The clinic helps around 200 rape victims annually, with around 140 of these being women. All of them will now have to find somewhere else to receive support. The clinic said it was very surprised that authorities announced their intention to cancel the agreement. Unfortunately, I do not think everyone will get the care they need, said Fredrik Grape. Birgitta Sävefjord, a member of the Stockholm City Council, said the decision was completely insane and that nobody else in the county council can meet these women's needs. There is no one who will take care of them. It's actually a scandal, she added. The horrible irony here, of course, is that a significant percentage of current and future rape victims to use the clinic would have to be victims of migrant rapists, given that Sweden is now the rape capital of Europe thanks to its open border policy. Rapes have skyrocketed in Sweden over the recent years. Authorities have claimed that this is due to the definition of rape being changed, but the spike occurred long after the change was made. The most recently available statistics show that migrants were 5.5 times more likely to carry out sexual assaults. Back in January, a group of Afghan migrants live-streamed the gang rape of a Swedish woman on Facebook before being interrupted by police. In February, we reported on how a Swedish woman was brutally gang raped and radically abused by a group of men in Gothenburg who also live-streamed the assault to Facebook. But the police were disinterested when the case was brought to their attention. This article was written by Paul Joseph Watson, Infowars.com, June 7, 2017. This is an excellent reporter. I highly suggest you follow him on YouTube and Twitter. He could give you some laughs and at the same time tears because, he's very factual and he got great conviction when he speaks, and I think that really adds to his videos. And of course his comments on Twitter themselves can be strong, pointing out truths and facts. But anyway, this is, as usual for me, I'm a Swedish guy, if you didn't know already. And this is very sad for me to read because, I know a lot of these things, that, Sweden is a horrible place to live in nowadays compared to the old days. Other people would say that this image of utopian Sweden is perfect still, the government, so to say. I have tried to denounce them because, well, they are obviously lying because people are getting raped, they cover up those rapes and only highlights that, oh, it was men who raped women. So people think it's Swedish men here in Sweden. rather than they pointing out that it's immigrants. This is so boring to talk about, but that's the truth. And the fact that the government would not choose to help its own people in favor of treating migrants is appalling. Our Prime Minister, Stefan Löfven, or Löfven, as I like to call him, I don't like to pronounce his name correctly because he's a freaking traitor. I mean, this guy is seriously insinuating that it's our responsibility to take in immigrants. It's our responsibility to take in these monstrous rapists and murderers into our countries. And, a white Europe, it's not our countries, it's for everyone. It's insane. They want cultural suicide, and it's in the globalist agenda. Remember, the Swedish people doesn't want this. Of course, there's a huge portion that has been brainwashed by this socialist propaganda. I mean, you sit in school and watch these movies of gay stuff. I mean, I think I watched like 3 or 4 gay movies when I was in school, and we had to read about Lesbos Island, and that, as it's a fine literature, when it's just a bunch of unfaithful people just having a group orgies of lesbian sex. And then you of course gonna watch American movie History X or whatever it's called to learn that racism it should not be existing, blah blah blah, because it's only bad. People are so stupid, but people don't understand the true meaning of racism. Racism doesn't just mean hate, it is also a political measure that you can put in. For example, here in Sweden we are having like 1 to 3 kids per family, right? We don't have, sometimes even 0. But in an Arabic family, or Somalian one, that follows Islam, they're gonna have like 5 to 6, 8 children. 5 to 8 children. I mean, Erdogan even called out for a holy war. Have 5 children, my Turkish supporters, and make riots, attack people. Just like, they seriously called out for war. And they will outpopulate us. They will have the majority to say in our democracy, and they will vote in Sharia law. But no, you can't talk about this. This is racist. No, what they're doing is racist. They're killing us. They're killing their own people. And as you can probably imagine, I'm very against this, as well as many others, but people like me, the dissenting voices of Sweden, are being silenced by the government. People are afraid to lose their jobs. It's a propaganda war. Those that gets attention, they will be put on the official hate list. Yes, they have actually a hate list in Sweden. A list of inappropriate people journalists, a lot of American journalists, for example, Paul Joseph Watson, Mike Cernovich, just about anyone. Even PewDiePie is on that list for anti-Semitic comments, blah, blah, blah. And those people are getting banned from Twitter, etc. This could just develop further. I mean, eventually they could just knock on people's doors and arrest people if they will install a thought police, like political correctness police. It's like Sharia enforcers. So this is ridiculous. We're seriously trying to install thought police in the Western world. It's sick. I think they have already started in some countries. Not sure if they have in Sweden, but if it haven't come already, it will come very soon because people are literally screaming out for it. But I don't think they are showing or wanting to show the people that are actually against this, because if people don't think there's anyone else talking about these things, like I thought lots of years ago, but I come to the realization that the situation is not that. The reporters aren't true. The mainstream media is controlled. So of course they're gonna filter out those that criticize the government. It's like the march that Tommy Robinson had in England. They said there was 700 demonstrants that were going to protest this Muslim immigration flow, this hate rally they had, because they were talking about real hatred, not just hatred from right white supremacists or whatever to call them. This was people daring to talk out against this corruption. And they were in fact over 65 1,000 people. And the mainstream media said they were 700. It's sick. But there's a reason why people call them fake news. Anyway, so with this tragedy, sadly, Swedish people that gets raped, they won't get help. While immigrants that barely have been through anything can just make up, oh, it has been so horrible. Then they're gonna get psychiatric aid, they're gonna get free medical exams. I mean, seriously, in my hometown, they just added it in the paper. Go here and you will get a free medical exam. And I had a friend, dying's father. He was, having cancer. He couldn't stand up or anything. He was, on his last week or so. And they put him out on the corridor where people were running back and forth and strong lights lighting his eyes and stuff like that. So he was lying there on this stretcher thing. And there's these rooms, where it's more comfortable to be in than in a stretcher out in the corridor. Inside these rooms, there was full of Arabs that seemed to, be pretty fine. I mean, I've been in hospitals and majority of those patients are Arabs and they're just sitting there and, they can sit up. This guy couldn't sit up. He was feeling that bad. He was dying. And his son, he went and asked the doctor, so this is how you are being treated for working your entire life for this country. And it's a very fair question. And of course, the answer is yes, we hate ourselves. We're socialists. We want to kill our heritage. But of course, the doctor didn't say that. I don't really know what he said. I think he was kind of frightened because, as you can probably imagine, my friend was pretty upset about this. And who wouldn't be? But this is the truth. This is what's going on in Sweden. They aren't helping its own people. I mean, social services, this welfare we have in Sweden, most of it goes to Arabs anyway. When I go to a social services office, it's completely dark. Lots of immigrants all there trying to beg for money. And, when Swedish people try to ask for help, they will get rejected because they don't simply have room for these people. And as you can probably understand, by having sex with their own cousins, they will have a lot of disabled people. Yes, so they will even need more aid by this. And they will even cheat with things like marriage. Oh yeah, we divorced, now we need some extra income. And we have children, we have lots of children. So, rather than make sure that, oh yeah, you can't have more than 2 children or something like that. Otherwise you won't get child support for those children. But no, they're gonna get full benefits for no matter what they do in this country, and they can come in with multi-identity and just say, oh yeah, I need to take a loan, and under a different name they can get social money, and in a third name they can start a new company and get money that way. It's just ridiculous. But that's how Sweden is. And they can grow rich by cheating our welfare system. But of course our politicians won't denounce this, except the Swedish Democrats and another movement. But the mainstream politicians, they are gonna be like, oh, we have to increase our welfare, there's nothing wrong with our system, we need more people paying taxes, everyone must work. Yeah, we have to work to build up a future for these Arabs. Fuck you, I mean, come on. We're not that stupid. But they're gonna keep pushing out their lies. But they're gonna keep pushing their lies and say it's the Swedish white man's fault. It's ridiculous. White supremacists. And they're gonna show pictures of white men. And anytime it's poor refugees, it's gonna be pictures of sad children. And, well, I think I've talked most about not too much about this actual article, I think, but things in general in Sweden that's wrong. But about this Facebook thing that happened, the rape, there was Afghan and Pakistani dudes raping this girl in her apartment. At least I think it was her apartment. And they were streaming it on Facebook. But when the police tried to investigate this and tried to get, the video from Facebook, they reached out to Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook. They refused to release the clips because it was private. But why would you refuse the police evidence of a rape? If these people have nothing to hide, then they should not be afraid to give it out. No, but Facebook protects them because they're immigrants and rapists. But they have no problems of prosecuting a man who rejected Islam that is going to get executed. They have no problems of killing people who would be dissidents in these countries. In the Middle East, Pakistan, all these countries that follow Sharia law, they have no trouble helping them. And I'm pretty damn sure that if someone would be dissidenting, like a reporter or something in China, that they would be having any problem of hunting that person down as well. Because, with Facebook, you can track people. I mean, if they send a post or if they log on to their phone or whatever, they will get the position and they will be able to triangulate the position of this person and help the government law enforcers hunt these people down. But whenever it comes to a white Swedish person, no, we can't do anything. It's disgusting. The double standards. But we have to reject this. It's not too late, as some people say. It's like World of Warcraft, when people say, oh no, World of Warcraft is dying. It used to be 12 million people playing, now it's 9 million, and etc. And I think it's like 7 million now, but still, it's like the biggest MMO out there. It's far from dying. What I think is important to understand here is that we are still in majority. And would the countries in the Europe region and of course Americas, because Canada is suffering horribly from Trudeau, and of course America has suffered from its predecessors, and well, I think some laws are still there, so they have to take in immigrants, but still people have to understand that if you don't control these things, things will get out of hand. But if people would start to reject this and say, no, we don't want to take in more immigrants, then we could try to start reverse this. And if we would get politicians that would be willing, people like the Swedish Democrats, because there's a nationalistic wave coming back around to swing at this. It's like, oh yeah, you pushed us just too far. It's like a lantern on a Tarzan thing, you swing in, and you push it, and they have just pushed the lantern so much that it's gonna come fly back and crash into their faces. Because what this will result in will be a civil war of some kind, if they won't realize that, yeah, we have to do something, but because people won't want to die. But because they have managed to make people suffer from Stockholm syndrome and, surrender to these things, because brave men aren't brave anymore like our ancestors were. People are like pussies. So because people are pussies, we won't be able to do anything, rather than sit and cower in fear and be like, oh no, migrants are coming, we have to move to the next town, move our family. People are selfish like that. They don't care about their fellow Swedish man, they care only about their families nowadays, and are like chickens and gonna chicken out. People don't even dare speak out on their work. And they're like, oh yeah, we have freedom of speech. Oh, you can say that because you're racist. It's ridiculous. But that's the truth. That's the truth. It's not too late. So we could, make immigrants not have as many children as a Swedish person would in our home country to make sure we are still the majority. We could, in all countries. I mean, they have no-go zones in Paris, for God's sake. That's just insane. And poor Italy, I mean, look at Sicily. It's a freaking war zone between the mafia and the African migrants. And yeah, as I pointed out in earlier videos, is that these migrants aren't actually refugees. The only refugees is like Syria and Iraq, right? But no, we are getting people from all over the world. It's insane. But that's the truth, yet again. So if we would stop, put our foot down, then we could get change. It's not too late. But it seems that way because that realization seems not to be taking a bite on the politicians. But I think really, if you want to make a big change, you could stop these crimes. I mean, I've seen myself a place where like 15 to 30 people were every day hanging, and then they started to make arrests. All of a sudden, no people have been there hanging since. It's a matter of just taking action to begin with. Then you would immediately see change. You will see people feeling more safe in their hometowns, etc. But I think that's about it. And I wanted to highlight something that I found on YouTube. So they're starting with this hashtag MoreThanARefugee. So what this is, yeah, it's propaganda with these refugees coming, showing children and people working with these people, you know, liberal lunatics, and gonna be, oh, look at these poor people, it's so fun to work with them, they have such happy lives. So yeah, they try to show the bright side of these refugees, but they don't show the negative impacts, the enormous economic wages we have to pay for them. They don't show the destabilization of our cities. I mean, you move lots of immigrants into one city, what will happen? Yes, people will flee, they will move to a different city, they won't stay there. But no, they want to talk about this. I mean, move someone like our Prime Minister Löfven to the town where I live. This town where I live is full of refugees, you know, full of migrants. There's like no Swedish people in this area where I live. I mean, this building, I think I'm one of the only 2 or 3 in this building, and we're like, I don't know, we're like maybe 6, 7 floors. I could be wrong, could be 5. But still, as you can probably imagine, there's pretty many families in this house. The reason why I wanted to highlight this video also, as I was recording, is because of this thing down here. Oh yes, look at the statistics. Shouldn't people like this? I mean, I thought it was good with multiculturalism and having lots of different migrants, right? Right? But no, it wasn't. It wasn't, apparently. YouTube Spotlight, you have failed. Almost 6 million people have watched this video. 90,000 have liked it and 234 have disliked it. So let's read the comments and find out why. That's spam. They have deleted every comment that disagreed with them. Some had over 900 likes and replaced them with spam comments that got over 10,000 of likes in less than a minute. Hashtag censorship, hashtag death of free speech. Don't know about that, but it doesn't sound good. Very probable, considering it's YouTube. And yeah, I mean, look at these messages. They kind of look like spam, right? Europe is for Europeans. Ireland is for the Irish. England for the English. Go away, refugees. We don't want you here. Well said, Zachary Spain. Yeah, that's the best way to keep multiculturalism and, well, diversity is the correct word, I guess. Not multiculturalism. Diversity, because if you put every people from different places on Earth into every society, then you won't have diversity, right? Then you will have globalism, because everything will be globalized. You will have moved everything from its native origin to mix with other people in different places. That's globalism. You know, you globalize stuff. It's like, yeah, we're gonna move tigers to Sweden, then they're gonna chase off the wolves, kill them, and they're gonna be the dominant predator here, etc. Because they're gonna fight over their territory and they will extinct each other. And believe it or not, there are animal races that have done this because of idiots taking in animals that will fight over territory as they come into the countries. Looks like the narrative is crumbling. People are sick and tired of getting blown to bits in the streets. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Refugees is a funny way to spell invaders. Drive them out. Yeah, I agree. Stop white genocide. Stop deleting the options of the majority YouTube. 218,000 dislikes in one day. Faith in humanity restored. What a hero. Well, as you can probably see, lots of funny comments because people are tired of this. And if you didn't know already, the creator of YouTube, she's liberal lunatic, and she, you know, condones this kind of stuff and wants to censor these types of videos when you criticize people like them. Because what I'm doing is not really saying hate speech, we must kill them all. What I'm saying is that we should have logic and preserve our countries. I want to preserve my country. I want my country to have its identity and be in existence in the world, not to be colonized by immigrants and change the face of the Swedish people and make the Swedish people suffer the pain of this as we have. Because believe me, we really have. There's rape and killings every day in this country, people getting shot, grenades being blown, and they are gonna offer amnesty for people that have grenades. You know, there's a, oh yeah, go and give the police your grenades and we will give you amnesty. And amnesty is that they will forgive you for having a grenade, basically. So yeah, that's, at least they're trying something, but I don't think you should give these people amnesty, to be honest. I think you should just bust down their door and arrest these people that are suspected for having firearms like a grenade and something like that. Because, well, obviously, grenades and explosives should not be in people's houses. And especially since there's no gun stores open for the public, I really don't want immigrants that have grenades and guns to have their weapons. Because, well, they're freaking crazy. I mean, there was a guy that was tired of his job. He bought a gun for 1,400 crowns or something like that. That's like $150 something. And then he just shot open a safe in his job and stole stuff. You know, could have ended very badly if someone was there, you know, being like, oh, what are you doing here? Shut up, bam! People are insane. But, you know, that's what's going on in this country. We take in people that wants to kill us, and we defend them, and let our own people suffer. And I think people throughout Europe, the Western world, America, Canada, wherever these things happen, because there have been tragedies everywhere. I mean, remember Cologne and Dresden and all these places. The immigrants that have been deported like 6, 7, 8, 9 times in America that comes back and kill people. You know, people had their children murdered, and if they had a proper system, then these people probably would have been alive by today. But no. We refuse to correct our mistakes, and therefore they will remain as errors. Let's hope and pray that in the future we will get leaders and people will rise up to the occasion to challenge them, to make sure that we will become safe once again in our very own borders. Thank you for watching.